at all. And
Okay.
everybody has coffee and everybody's happy and everybody is eating something yummy with the coffee. So you're fine. Let's do
Thank
it.
you very much. Thank you
You're
very much
welcome.
for being so welcoming. And it's so good to see you too, to see all of you. So I just wanted to say hello, everyone, and welcome to my presentation. My name is Žaneta Stanovská, and I would like to present my research, which is called Assemblages of Creation, Neurodivergent Art Between Friction and Potential. So, first of all, I would like to provide some kind of background of the creation of this work because this project was developed as a master's thesis at Masaryk University, and I was able to defend my thesis like 2 weeks ago, so yay! And I wanted to highlight this institutional context, not as some kind of defense or excuse of its scope or its extent, but mostly it was quite the contrary. I wanted to emphasize that even within the limited time and financial situation of academic and graduate programs, we can and we should try to conduct research intentionally and do research that is meaningful and sensitive. So my goal was to prove that even as students that are trapped in some kind of formal academic expectations, we can find our way out and try to produce work that is not reducive and does not reproduce or deepen some inequalities. So that is for the context, and I also wanted to locate my research, which is located in sociology and with a special focus on social anthropology. And this fact shaped my theoretical framework, which I built upon. So I'm basing my work on perspectives such as new materialism, post-structuralism, and specifically critical disability studies that emerged from the post-structuralism. And I also extend these perspectives of flat ontology and also for e-cognition, where cognition is not seen as something purely internal, some internal process happening in the brain, but it is something happening in the interconnection with the surroundings and is inherently embodied and embedded and enactive and extended. And I also wanted to point out that my research is both empirical and theoretical. So, in this way, it doesn't aim to produce some universal or specific solutions. But even though some of the strategies that I mentioned are applicable, but it mostly sets to produce the solid theoretical base and the foundation for these practical solutions and strategies to be produced and to emerge successfully. So, the core of my research draws from the long-standing critiques of medical model. You all already know this one, but that is the model which pathologizes some kind of difference, divergence from the norm, and it sets some kind of deficit in the individual and sees these differences as some kind of deviation or deficit from the normative ideal. However, I also wanted to address the critiques of neurodivergence as being something exclusive and something categorically distinctive. Some might see this concept this way. So instead, I tried to look at neurodivergence through relational perspective, where individuals are not put into some boxes, but instead This perspective helps to understand the subject as a floating subject, and it floats on the spectrum between binaries and between changing situations to which they are inherently connected. And I also wanted to talk about artistic practice because that's the site I chose to explore neurodivergence in. And I decided for artistic practice because it is a perfect site for exploring the assemblages, which are the situations of interconnectedness and constantly changing configurations in their complexity. So it was the artistic process and the artistic creation was not chosen only due to its affective and bodily and material nature, but I was also very interested in some specific structural tensions. For example, the constant demand for originality and innovation. Yet the need to conform to some rigid institutional or collaborative expectations. And so this way I wanted to explore neurodivergence in its complexity. So when the neurodivergent artists navigate this environment, they enter and also form and participate in what I call assemblages of creation. I already mentioned assemblages. So these are the assemblages of creation, and I'm applying this perspective where the lived experience, the neurodivergent lived experience, is in a constant process of forming and becoming, and in constant process of negotiation. So it is connected to the material, social, and cultural surroundings. So my research goal, which I aim to fulfill, was to explore the creative process of neurodivergent artists and be able to recognize its specifics and some relational dynamics that appear within it. Methodologically, I decided on a mini ethnographic case study design, which is the combination of the mini ethnography and also ethnographic case study design, which is a design very much recommended for students with limited resources. But this methodological design allowed me to focus on relatively narrow area of interest. But by using the ethnographic methods, I was able to dive deep into the discursive and sensory and affective layers of this complex lived experience. The field work that I did was multi-layered, and it was very much differentiated. So it began with an exploration of online discourses and ethnographic talks with neurodivergent artists all over the world. And the Heart project was a close 9-month collaboration with my main research partner. Her name is Vali. So I'm very much grateful for her because the project would not be able to happen without her. So very much thanks to Vali. And crucially, this project was deeply committed to the principles of participatory research. This idea came from wanting to reject the modernist and ableist stance that tends to position neurodivergent individuals as some kind of passive objects of study. So I tried to avoid that as much as I could. First of all, the recruiting process took form of an open call, which I feel like it empowered the community to decide on the flow of the information. Also, I wanted to avoid decolonization of the lived experience with dominant academic and online discourses. So this led me to repeatedly reconsider and reframe my perspectives that I was having. So to present an example, when I was analyzing the online discourses prior to the fieldwork, I came in contact mostly with the stories of rigid boundaries and oppression in art world. But when meeting with Bali, I was able to see that it was generalized narrative, and it was not able to nourish the real lived experience to grasp the phenomenon. So I borrowed Donna Haraway's formulation, and I called this phenomenon neurodivergent artistic fiction. And it was a narrative based on some kind of aspects of the lived experience, but it was inherently reducing and generalizing. And most importantly, I aimed to disrupt the distinctive boundary between the subject and the object of the research, and also between the field and the rest of the world. So the interpretations and the analysis were not done in isolation, as someone could say, behind a desk, but they were continuously communicated and co-constructed and redefined in direct interaction and connection with Valley. So the knowledge produced here is situational, and we were fully embracing the mutual influence and interconnectedness and the partiality of these perspectives. So to move on, I would like to work with some theoretical frameworks. During my work, I have worked with a number of theoretical frameworks, but I want to spare you this struggle, and I want to focus our attention to just one concept that I chose, and that is a concept of passages from Moser and Law. And these passages are some kind of assemblages that are situational configuration, and they are continuously forming and reforming, and the subject just passes between them while being also part of them and participating in them. And I wanted to highlight two aspects of these passages. First of all, the passages are fluid, and they are internally interconnected, and they are material. That is a characteristic that Moser and Law use, and they highlight it. And that is because they primarily work with physical disability of a body. But in a question of cognitive divergence, the dimensions of discursive and social and cultural dimensions, they cannot be left out. So I extended their perspective of these dimensions. And secondly, the conception of passages that can be good or bad. It helps us to recognize the ones, the assemblages that flow through smoothly and almost invisibly, and also the ones that produce friction, where neurodivergence clashes with the norm and disrupts the flow, and the process is just disrupted by this clash. So those are the bad passages, as Moser and Law would call them. So from the produced data, three fundamental relational dynamics emerged within these creative assemblages. So it was the social dynamic, mostly connected to communication, relationality, and bonding and forming relationships. Second, it was cognitive dynamic, where the cognition was treated not as just something happening in the brain, but it was embodied and distributed process. And thirdly, it was the artistic process of itself that was seen as a collective activity. And I was able to divide the observed assemblages into three thematic dimensions. They were not clearly distinctive in reality, but analytically it helps us to recognize some kind of modes of neurodivergence and the interconnectedness of neurodivergence in creative processes. So these dimensions are normative mode, the strategies, and the organic mode. First, I want to talk about the normative dimension, and that is these are the assemblages where neurodivergence collides with the institutional and collaborative expectations. And that is because these scaffoldings and rules are often implicit, and this aspect can lead to immediate friction and can disrupt the flow of the creative process. Moser and Law would call these the bad passages, and they help us to understand how the material and social configuration often fail to secure accessibility. In the field, this friction was mostly visible in communication and chrononormativity. So, for instance, the rigid long-term work structure was assumed to be helpful and yes, helpful. But for in neurodivergent individuals, it can often generate severe stress. And also the domain of communication within the creative collective, there was this desire for supportive communication and reciprocally meaningful communication, and it often clashed within the creative collective. I also wanted to briefly mention the impact of trying to live up to these standards and expectations for extended period of time, because the constant pressure to conform to these expectations, not just chrononormative and communicative, but also sensory reactive, can produce severe stress and also leading to breaking down of already invented strategies. So it creates some kind of cycle. Literature calls it autistic burnout, but I feel like it can be applied to neurodivergence altogether, because as the sensory, cognitive, and social load accumulates, the capacity is diminishing, and the cycle is intensifying and self-sustaining. The second dimension of the outcomes of the type of the assemblages that I was able to recognize are the strategies. And what was interesting for me was that it was pretty much different between the strategies that are usually applied. Those are not the strategies that are based in the modernist ideals, and there is the need for deconstruction. So the creative collective that I was able to do the research with usually used reflexive approach, and they actively pointed out the assemblages that led to clashes and friction, and then they were able to deconstruct something that was seen as natural, as non-negotiable, and those are the ideals of late capitalism. So, for example, continuous productivity, self-sufficiency, individual success, etc. So, by identifying these ableist pressures, the creative collective was able to develop alternative frameworks of organization and organize the work differently. And within this framework, not every participant needed to be present in all phases, and the creative process was open for the participants to enter and leave at any time. So the focus was not on the independence and individual achievements, but rather it was on the collective co-working and collective working together to reach the shared goal where everyone contributes, but to their full potential. And also, this deconstruction also included rewriting some communication protocols by using tools like shared Miro board, where every member created some kind of user manual for themselves. And it helped to externalize and visualize and distribute the cognitive load of communication and the providing of mutual support within the artistic process was more approachable and more accessible. And the last dimension of outcomes, the last type of the assemblages that I was able to recognize was the organic one, and that is the one that comes from organic making. And this refers to creation that happens here and now and is fully connected to the body and to the senses and to the immediate experience. And within this mode, the institutionalized norms lose their power. So these assemblages led to forming some kind of unique time spaces. It is also called affective atmospheres, uh, where some kind of alternatives to semiotic and verbal communication and rationality was able to emerge. So these are ways of connecting that overflow the domain of words and are intentionally motivational in aspect of affect, embodiment, and sensory forms of connection. And I would like to present this through two specific examples. The first is the art piece Radical Friending. You can see it on the left. And it was created with the intention to express gratitude to friends who were supportive during a challenging period of the artist's life. And the installation consists of 3 or 4 meter plush, 3 figures and 2 pictures on the wall. And all of these artifacts generate an atmosphere of gratitude that is not verbally expressed, but is bodily actualized. So the audience or even the friends were able to experience the gratitude as complex, multi-layered feeling, being haptic, and also with a combination of the visuals, and also there was audio. It was not very much specific, but mostly metaphorical, but the combination of the senses made the atmosphere emerge. And the second piece is called Non-Binary Mirror, and it demonstrates connection directly within the process of production of the art piece. And here the creative space where the performance was happening was structured with some rules. For example, you can see the continuous eye contact, and it was structured to foster the atmosphere where the possibilities of body and gender binarities were explored, but they were explored not through spoken language, but it was through the embodiment and distributed cognitive collaboration. So both of these work can be seen as representatives of an emerging neurodivergent aesthetics because they are exploring how the unique neurodivergent cognitive profiles can manifest in distinct aesthetic preferences and sensory expressions. And they also, this concept tries to show how these neurodivergent unique profiles can be positioned in current art worlds and society as deeply enriching and valuable. And To conclude, I want to just summarize the broader contributions of this research because it offers some of them. Just quickly, first, it directly challenges the pathologizing model because it shifts the focus from the deficit, but it also is not focusing on purely idolizing or excising character of the work. So the research actively disrupts these generalizing perspectives. Secondly, it provides a non-reducive and sensitive methodological framework and it proves that it is also doable on the level of master's level and on the academic constraints. And theoretically, it extends the critical disability studies into the cognitive realm, and it is contributing to the academic grounding of the neurodivergence concept. And finally, it has some practical applicability. So some of these methods and strategies that were mentioned are also applicable in everyday life, but mostly by documenting and analyzing the process of organic creation of these success enabling strategies, of the everyday creation of these strategies. It offers a method how everyday systems can be personalized and made more inclusive and successfully fight the ableist pressure. So these are my sources, and I want to thank you all very much for your time. And let's open the floor for questions or discussion.
Thank you so much, Žaneta, for sharing this all with us. And my first question immediately is, do you have any idea when you look at the world of artists, what is the percentage artists that are neurodivergent? Do you know that?
I don't know that because I feel like it is not possible to tell because some of them are neurodivergent and doesn't know about it, and some of them maybe are neurodivergent, but there are no statistics. But I feel like a lot of the artists are neurodivergent, but the art worlds, the structures where artists need to exist, they are still not very much inclusive. So that was the tension that I was so interested in.
Isn't that amazing that indeed I also think that most of the artists are in the world of neurodiversity, but the business model behind the arts,
Yeah.
you cannot imagine something more linear than
Mm-hmm.
that, which is so weird when you
Yeah.
think of that. And when you talk to artists about this and people in the arts industry, it's fascinating
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
gap. And we talk about the gap all the time with all the presentations. Talking about a gap, this is a huge one.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for your cool presentation. Um, People can reach out to you, I can imagine. They can find you on LinkedIn or somewhere else where they can find you if they want to chat with you, if they have ideas, or when they want to
Mm-hmm.
collaborate, they can find you, right?
Yes, yes, exactly. Maybe LinkedIn could work, but mostly email and yeah, maybe WhatsApp. I don't know, but LinkedIn is also fine. I just don't check it every day.
Okay, cool. Um, and if someone wants to have your WhatsApp or email address, of course they can connect to Chirk. He knows everything, right?
Yeah,
He knows you all very well, and he has your email address and your WhatsApp. Thank
yeah,
you so
yeah.
much. Thank you so much for being here. Chirk, who's our next speaker?
Thank you, Zaneta.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.